Let us proceed to the opening keynote of the first day of the conference. Let's meet Ulrich Ahle, CEO at FIWARE Foundation, a non-profit organization on a mission to promote smart solutions across domains such as smart cities, smart energy, and many others. Ulrich is joining us today with a session on open source and open standards for smart cities of the future. Hello there.
Hello.
How are you? I hope you're great.
Yeah, I'm fine. I arrived yesterday evening, so beautiful city here in Wrocław. And thank you for inviting me.
The weather could be a little better, but hopefully that improves too.
It's been great yesterday evening, so I'm optimistic. And a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
The stage is yours.
Decarbonizing cities is the slogan of this event today. And let me give you a bit an idea of how digitization, how data can support us in this mission and how open source and open standards help us to create smart cities of the future. And all will be around data. Data organized in what we call digital twins, so a digital representation of the real world. Data describing what is happening where, when, and why around us. But today, very often, this data are organized in silos. In silos because data models don't fit to each other, interfaces are not open, or there's not sufficient trust in providing access to data. What will people, organizations who get access to my data will do with the data? And this is not only true for the domain of smart cities, but also for domains which interact within a city. The domains of energy, for example, of mobility, all is happening within a city. And our mission at FIWARE, and to disclose this here, and some of you might know it, I am actually CEO of FIWARE, but will take over another role next week. Next week on Wednesday, I will become CEO of the Gaia X organization. And FIWARE and Gaia X, together with other partners, we are working together since more than 2 years to overcome these hurdles, to break down these data silos and to make data available and accessible for smart solutions with different targets, but definitely one of the targets is to do decarbonization of cities. How we are doing this? By getting access to data describing what's happening in the real world, what I explained before. This is shown on the bottom left here. To capture data coming from the real world, putting this into the digital twin, so the digital representation of the real world, then using artificial intelligence, big data analytics, and so on to process, analyze, and monitor this data. To update the digital twin, and then to provide information back to the real world, or to actuate out of the digital twin directly into the real world. For example, a future autonomously driving car is nothing different than a car which is operated within the digital twin, but is driving from A to B in the real world. And this is the overall approach we are driving at FIWARE. So what is FIWARE? First, FIWARE is providing a set of open source software building blocks. So we are talking about open source. We are talking about software building blocks, like Lego stones. Yeah? We are not providing complete digital platforms, not complete digital solutions, but just building blocks for this. This is the first part here. And out of these software building blocks, the FIWARE Context Broker is the most important component of this software building blocks. That's the first part. The second part is delivering standard APIs, standard interfaces. And here the main interface is called Next Generation Service Interface. And the third element are standardized data models. We call them smart data models. In the meantime, more than 1,000 of these data models coming from domains like smart city, smart energy, smart agriculture. And these are two main enablers to break down these data silos and to enable interoperability of different solutions. And finally, and that's the fourth deliverable of the FIWARE ecosystem, there are reference architectures, so blueprints, how to use these components in different domains. There are 5: smart cities, energy, agriculture, industry, and since 2 years, also the domain of smart water. So how can digitization help in the management of fresh water, surface water, wastewater? And the reference architecture for smart cities is shown here. I will not go into details of it, but you can see some of the main elements I explained before. The FIWARE Context Broker, again, is in the center. Then we have this NGSI-based interfaces to get access to data describing what's happening around us. Data coming from cameras, from sensors deployed in a LoRaWAN, from drones, from other IT systems, from, and that's a very important source of information describing what's happening around us, from social media, from other services, or on the bottom right, from already existing smart solutions, which are mainly and mostly installed as silos. And on the top, we have artificial intelligence, business intelligence, big data analytics, and so on, to, as I mentioned before, to monitor, to analyze, to update this information. And as I said, the FIWARE Foundation itself, we are not providing complete products, but the ecosystem does. So we have hundreds of partners who are using these components. All of them are open source, so available for everyone, for free forever. You don't need to be a member of the FIWARE Foundation to use it. And till now, there are more than 250 partner offerings on the FIWARE marketplace, FIWARE-based platforms, so digital platforms, FIWARE-based solutions, when talking about smart cities for smart parking, smart waste management, smart lighting, and so on, up to FIWARE services, training, coaching, system integrating, operating such solutions. And this overview shows the today existing FIWARE-based platforms. Following the reference architecture I showed to you before, in the meantime, 23 different platforms. I'm myself coming from Atos, where I worked till 2016. The Atos platform is called the Urban Data Platform. And then we have, you can see, 24 other platforms. Some of them, again, are completely open source, some even with a complete copyleft license. So you can find them on GitHub or on GitLab and can reuse the complete platform. Some of the examples of that is the Smart Territory Framework of Amazon Web Services. They joined us last year, created a FIWARE-based platform and working with several cities on their digital transformation journey. Or the one from Hypertegrity, it's a company from Germany. And this platform, the Open Data Space platform, is also used in the little village where I'm living. And I will give a short explanation of what we're doing there a bit later. So, going back to the platforms. The platform as such is not providing any value. It is just collecting data, breaking down data silos, making data available for smart solutions. But that's it. The benefits, the improvement of the quality of life of the citizens living in the city, the approach to reduce the cost of operating a city, this is done by the smart solutions on top of the platforms. And let me give you some examples of such solutions. This is one coming from Atos. It was developed together with a former mayor of the city of Eindhoven in the Netherlands. Nice city, one problematic street called Stratum Signed. It's a street looking like this here on the right, or this is the street. 1 kilometer long, 55 bars, a lot of alcohol, and a high crime rate in the past. And what they did, they installed cameras, you see it on the top right, analyzing the moving patterns of the people. No face recognition, it's GDPR compliant. Second, sound analytics. Again, no speech recognition, GDPR compliant, but analyzing the location of the sound, the aggressivity level of the sound, the loudness of the sound. And third is social media analytics. As I mentioned before, a very important source. So what's posted in this moment of time in Facebook and Twitter publicly with relation to the street. And by combining this information, describing what's happening in the street, using historical data, using machine learning, the system is able to provide predictive services to the police. So it's not only identifying there's a critical situation in the street, it is also predicting it. The police officer in the control room, of course it's a bit historical control room, but still it works, gets the right information in front of him or her, and is now in the position to either send proactively people to this place, because he gets an alert within the next 3 minutes, it might become critical at that place in the street, or he or she is able to increase the level of light in this segment of the street. Philips is partner of this solution, and they have an ability to dim down and dim up the light in different segments of the street. And it is proven that this solution is able to reduce the crime rate. In more than 80% of the cases, it is sufficient to increase the level of light to de-escalate an upcoming critical situation. And the crime rate has been reduced by 50%. There are less damages in the bars, there are less transportations to hospital, the police people are used more efficiently, and the image of the street and the whole city has been increased. So I think a nice example how data describing what's happening around us can be used to improve the quality of life, in this case, of the visitors of the street. Second example, this is from Spain. Here, not only one city has created a digital platform and digital solutions, but a whole region. It's the region of Badajoz, the largest province in Spain, but they have no big cities. Badajoz is the province capital with 100,000 inhabitants, and there are a lot of smaller cities, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, and they said it doesn't make sense that each and every city creates its own solution, so let's create a solution for the whole province. They did it based, in this case, based on Thinking Cities from Telefónica, a FIWARE-based platform from Telefónica, have in the meantime 29 different solutions on the platform, for smart waste management, smart lighting, smart water, smart tourism, and so on, using a common big data and business intelligence solution. Having agreed on certain KPIs, they build trust between each other. They are now able to compare each other based on KPIs. So how much is citizen in city A paying for waste management, and in city B, how can they learn from each other? And they have operational and executive dashboards, so operational dashboards for garden management, when does the trees need to be watered again, or the executive dashboards for the political decision makers. Another example is here from South America, from Montevideo, which is the capital of Uruguay. Uruguay in South America is something similar to Estonia in Europe. Estonia is by far the leading country in Europe when it comes to digitization of public processes. This is similar in Montevideo. They installed a lot of sensors, creating a flood pre-warning, a flood real-time warning system. Standard business, nothing special. What's special is on the next page. And they are using this sensor data, enhancing it by soil hydrological and meteorological models, and again, by, they call it hyperlocal data from citizens. so using citizen apps, Twitter and Facebook. And based on this data, and they quite often have heavy rain situations in the backlands, causing flooding situations within the city, despite all measurements they have taken. And the citizens there have an app, which is intelligent, like Google identifies where have I parked my car. The same is done by this app. And the citizens get a personalized early alert. As an example, with 80%, there will be half a meter of water within the next 30 minutes at the place where you have parked your car. So better move it somewhere else. And this as a personalized alert for the citizens. I think it's quite an impressive and innovative solution. And the last example is exactly from the... we started a bit earlier, so for the moderator, we started a bit earlier. I can take 2-3 minutes more, or how are we in the time?
Let's make it 2 maximum, please.
Okay, good. This is from the village where I'm living. So we used a drone. We created a 3D digital twin, a 3D model, installed the FIWARE platform I mentioned before, installed a lot of sensors, showing now sensor data in the city, having, not in the village, 1,850 people living there. And the latest project is we are implementing autonomously driving small people movers to pick up the people from their house door, bringing them to the mobility station. Or these vehicles will be able to connect each other to a convoy and driving from the village, the 15 kilometers to the next larger city. This is an overview of all the sensors we have deployed, but due to the time frame, I will skip it. And one example here from this village, this is this 3D representation, so it's not a picture, it's really a textured point cloud, it's 3D, and we are using this, as I said, to show sensor data and also to simulate heavy rain situations, and this is a simulation for an area where new houses are planned, but the simulation shows that when there is 90 millimeters of rain within 1 hour, there will be 1 meter of water. So there are now intense discussions how to continue with this area. Finalizing FIWARE, all is based on FIWARE. FIWARE, in the meantime, is the globally leading open source technology for smart cities. Far more than 350 cities around the world are implementing their digitization based on FIWARE technology. They are doing this because the basic software is open source, free of charge. There is a large open source developers community maintaining, further developing this technology, and a large group of startups, SMEs, but also global corporates which are using this technology and providing solutions, interoperable solutions based on this technology. With this, they are offering the lowest cost of ownership for FIWARE-based solutions. And this is, for some of the end users, the most important part. By using standard APIs and standard data models, and all partners in the FIWARE ecosystem are using them, the vendor lock-in effect is reduced dramatically. It is difficult to completely avoid it, but it's clearly reduced. FIWARE is a member-driven organization created 7 years ago by 4 companies, and now we are more than 620 members from all over the world behind this open source ecosystem. The open source ecosystem to create the platform technology for our smart digital future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ulrich. And I dare say, what an impressive track record. You made me think about a lot of things in your presentation. First of all, on the positive side, I would say that when you mentioned the selective dimming of public lights in streets, the added extra benefit would be that everyone will be feeling like walking in the spotlight now, if that happens.
It's not that selective. Yeah.
It's not that selective, but think about it. Right, as we are preparing this stage, you might as well stay with us because you're joining the panel discussion. Can we move a little to the side, please? Another thing, if I could ask you a spontaneous, unrehearsed question. You remember there was a very famous statement back in 2007 in California when a very famous product was launched by one of the most famous tech leaders in the history of technology. And he said something like, every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes along that changes everything. You're working on something invaluable for smart city technologies because it's open source, it's free, and it's universal, which means that technologies, once applied to multiple cities across the world, can be easily changed. It obviously opens it also to a variety of cyber attacks, because if you have one solution for everything. But that's not my question. A revolutionary product comes along that changes everything. Do you think a revolutionary product will soon come along for smart cities and urban tech that will indeed change everything? Or is it going to be just gradual, organic, maybe sometimes slow, maybe a little faster evolution?
I'm convinced that we are really in front of a revolution. And what I showed to you is the move from one-to-one connections of a sensor to an application to digital platforms. But these digital platforms are connecting already known sources of data with already known users of this data. And the next technology step we will do is the move into the direction of so-called data spaces. And we are intensively working since the last 1.5 years on the creation of these data spaces, enabling and allowing also unforeseen or unknown providers of data or users of data to connect to such data spaces. And this, I'm very convinced of that, will be a revolution and will further increase the digitization, not only in cities, but also in a lot of other domains.
And given the situation we're in, looking at the speed and pace at which cities develop and accelerate, do you think we can really afford not to have a revolution in the speed at which technologies are progressing?
Finally, we will need to find a way of a transformation. Because we always need, on the one side, the capabilities on the end user side. And here we are talking about cities, about city administrations. And what I experience, and I'm talking to a lot of cities, is that they don't have very often sufficient competence or sufficient capacity. And therefore, we need to give them time to build this up, to partner up with companies who can help them. But also to do so, they need a certain competence to be able to be really a partner with them. And this will, I'm pretty sure this will be a transformation. Using maybe revolutionary technology, but still it will be a transformation. And finally, we always have to take the end users onto this journey. And the end users in that case are the citizens living in the city.
Thank you very much.